Welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Carmen, and today I'm joined by Brick, one of our AI engineers and also a marketing expert. And we are really happy that you made it today because we are also officially launching StoryChief Connect. We will go into detail just in a couple of minutes. But as usual, I just wanted to highlight that we are recording the session. So you will receive the recording either tomorrow or early next week. And at the end of the session, there will also be some time for questions that you can directly ask to us. So don't forget to send your questions through the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. And then we will make some time at the end to go through most of the questions. And if we don't have time, we will get back to you personally. So no worries about that. But just send your questions as soon as you have them as well. So today's webinar is about turning marketing signals into ready campaigns. So what does this mean? So we talk to clients, to users, to big and small companies, and we see a common factor in there. Everyone is using tools and data, and everyone is doing a great job there, but we see that something is failing with the data, something is not really connected to each other, and this is what we want to address today. So if I start with a few examples, probably now at some point in your company somewhere, there is a Slack thread message with some customer insights, great customer insights that probably that will never make it into a campaign brief. I think probably there is also maybe one or two keywords in your SEO tool that the content marketing team will never know about. Probably the support team has a lot of insights, maybe the product team as well, marketing for sure. The sales team has a lot of insights from prospects and customers. But what we see is that all these insights and all this data and all this context doesn't really talk to each other. So if you use a CRM tool, probably it knows what your customers want. If you use a knowledge base, probably it knows everything about your company. It has your company knowledge, but all these signals are oftenly overlooked. You probably already use one or more AI tools that can create content at scale. Your actual content performance also knows what is resonating. And probably your team is also on top of your competitors and they know where the market is going. But all these buying signals, they are never in the same room. So when you create a campaign, when you create a project, all this data, all this context actually is not used. And that's exactly why we built StoryChief Connect. And today we want to show you what happens when you connect all these signals and they start finally talking to each other. So here's a picture, right? Most of the marketing teams and agencies just start with a list of topics and a gut feeling before they create a campaign. But StoryChief starts with data. That's what makes it different. So when you connect all these tools, your CRM, your notes, your transcript calls with clients or prospects, your website performance, DAM systems, notes, anything. So every piece of knowledge that you connect to the system, to StoryChief Connect, stays in a private system and it never leaks out. But it gets smarter and smarter the more you use it. So when you run the strategy module, then all this data, all this context and sources are analyzed in real time, and they will surface opportunities that are worth your time. They are able to really find insights and angles that you would never think of. And that's what actually helps you create intelligent content that goes beyond, just looking at one specific signal in a silo. So from that strategy, using all this data, you just create the content. You optimize the content on StoryChief. You can collaborate on it, review it, send it to your clients. And finally, you can put it in your calendar where you can actually schedule it and distribute it to all your connected channels. So at the end, you just close the loop by tracking your metrics, monitoring your performance. So you use that data to fit again the strategy and start a new campaign again. So it's a closed loop system. And what is the result of this? We see that teams using StoryChief Connect, they go 5 times faster to market. They also have around 70% less of operational issues. They create up to 3 times more campaign output. Obviously, they have a 60% better strategic execution. And I think this leads to up to 3 times more conversion rates. And today, actually, we want to show you some real world examples and some prompts that are ready for you to use, where you can put all this knowledge and all these sources together into a connected system so that you actually start getting all these campaigns based off data and not based off a gut feeling or a guess. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed. Let's dive in. So the first one is a very broad one, and that's the question, okay, what is our audience talking about? And this question goes from each department. So you can ask that question to sales, you can ask that to marketing, you can ask that to support products. So all this information lives in silos. And if you would ask the agent that, it would come back, hey, basically, gather that information for me and copy paste it here. And that's why we created StoryChief Connect. So with StoryChief Connect, you will be able, and you are able, to connect all the tools your departments are using, from sales to support. So all these tools are connected to the system. So when we connect all these tools, then if we ask that question again, your agent will be smart enough to basically go to each department and see which tools are active in the platform, and it will gather all the insights it needs from all these departments. And at the end of this, it built out a campaign for us that resonates with our audience, that our audience is talking about. And for instance, here, it created a campaign with an SEO optimized article, an infographic that we can share on social media. Then another example, for instance, I had a client meeting with Nordpeak, and I want to make a campaign for them. Your agent will be smart enough to know, okay, I will look into the inbox of Brick, I will look at the transcript, I will look in Slack if there's more information, the CRM system, and with all that context, I can create a good campaign for this client. And it created for me already a very good campaign with visuals, landing pages, and articles. That's basically I can iterate on with our team and then can ask approval from the client within our system. There are a lot of use cases. We didn't discover them all yet, but there's the possibilities are endless. And it's also the other way around, meaning, for instance, if I gathered a lot of insight from these tools, I can basically push it back to the departments. So I can, for instance, say, okay, let's share these insights that I just gathered on Slack, for instance, or I can push it back to my knowledge base, being, for instance, here in this case, Notion. I can also add events to my Google Calendar, just to give an example here.
Yeah,
Back to you,
nice.
Karim.
Yeah, I think that was very inspiring and really wow that you don't only actually pull in data, but that you can also create actions externally in the tools that you've connected. So that's a very impressive use case as well. But today I also want to go a little bit more into the platform and show you how you can actually connect these tools and what you can do with them and how or where you use them, right? So when you go to your strategy module, then you go into the plugins and skills page. And here is where you find all the plugins that are already available. And that's also the list that Brick shared just a couple of minutes ago. So we extend the list pretty much every week. We keep on adding tools that we hear and that we know are mostly used. So to connect any of them, you just click on the tool that you want to connect, and then you just click on install, and then you quickly make the connection. It only takes a couple of minutes, no IT required. You also have immediately some easy examples that you can immediately put to use so that you already start a conversation with the AI agent using that plugin and then see the results. What else can you do in here as well? You also have skills, and skills is basically a set of instructions that you already want to give to the AI agent to do repeatable tasks. So if you are doing the same thing every week or every month, you can make that into a skill with a defined structure so that you always get the same type of output and the system always follows the same instructions. And so when you connect some of the plugins, sometimes those skills are also built in automatically, but obviously you can also create your own skills. You can do that through an import of a file, or you can just do that manually. So if you create a skill manually, you just give it a name just to easily recognize it. Then you give a description. This is to tell StoryChief when he has to use the skill specifically. And then you just give the instructions with all the detail, with all the structured overview that you want the skill to follow. What you can also do, and it's actually really nice, is that you can share the skill with all your team members within the workspace, so that everyone uses the same skill and you all work aligned and in a structured way. And if you are an agency or you have a multi-workspace setup, you can also actually include the same skill across all your clients' workspaces. So for every client, you will have the same skill there available that you can use with the AI agent. So if I take a look at one of the custom skills that I built, this is, for example, turn a client call into a campaign, something that is very easy for me because then immediately after getting off the call, I already get a campaign waiting for me. So what I did is I gave the description, so when I want to use the skill, and then I give a set of instructions. So every time I run the skill, the system will follow the same structure, so I don't really waste any time, and I also know what to expect. What else can you do? If you don't find the plugin that you are looking for, you can also add it as a custom connection. And then you just need to give the details, and then you can use it in the same way as a plugin. So this is all about the configuration. Once you have this, it doesn't take longer than that. For example, in my case, I already have a long list of tools that I connected. And as I said before, the more tools you connect, the better the context of AI to actually see and look into all these contexts and sources to build the best campaign. So I also want to show you a real example. So this one, for example, is about getting a campaign and a full briefing out of a transcript call with a client. Something that I do, I think all our sales colleagues do it as well. So you get off the call with a prospect, with a client, with anyone, and you immediately have a campaign and next steps ready for you so that you can also, save it and have it as a structured, but you can also share it with your client directly. So in this specific case, based on the skill and based on the transcript call, StoryChief created a full summary with the overview, also some the tone of voice, some custom content pillars. This is all following the skill that I created. And next to that, it created a few assets and also just an article and a couple of social posts. So the good thing is that I can share this immediately with my clients or with any team member or anyone externally, even if they don't have a StoryChief login. So they can actually see the full briefing immediately. And what I can also do is save this content as an article, as a social post, as a newsletter, landing page, etc. So it stays automatically in my workspace and in my system, and it goes into my content calendar as well. So if we now go into the content calendar, what I'm seeing here is that I have already some of the content in there, but I can also easily just get all the content that I just saved from the canvas into any day of the week. So I can already plan it in there, and then I can immediately work in the social post. In this case, for example, I can collaborate on it. I can activate my channels. I can send it to my team members to work on it or to review. I can also send it to my client for review. So I can continue with the process of basically finishing up the content and also scheduling it into my social media channels or into my clients. So by doing that, once it's published, as I said before, you just gather the metrics and then you feed that again into the system. And so you continuously work in that loop that actually makes things moving and gets everything done in less than it would take you just 1 or 2 months ago. What else can you do once you have added all the content into your calendar? You can also share it. You can share the full calendar with your client, with any team member, with your management team, so that they actually have a look and they can actually see and give feedback on the full content planning that has been built out of the campaign from a call. So basically, suddenly what it would take you days of work, it's done within 5, 10, 15 minutes maximum, right? So that's what I wanted to show you today. I think we can go into the Q&A.
Yes.
We can see if there is any questions in there. It's your time to ask your questions and to really make sure that you know how to connect these plugins, that you have all the knowledge available to build all these campaigns.
Well, we already have the question here is plugin connections. If you make a connection, can you share it with your team members? This is not the case, and this is also very important to mention that a plugin, when you make the connection, it is connected to you only, because if you connect to an external tool, you yourself have permission within that tool. You can, for instance, have the permission to not see given data, and that has to be respected. So out of security reasons, that is the case why MCP connection plugin, cannot be shared with other team members.
Yeah.
That's the difference also between skills, because skills you can share with everybody, but skills then do not contain credential data or specific data.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Another question also here is, do we have an overview of use cases? Yeah, we're currently creating that, and we will have a beautiful overview, and we will send this afterwards, after the webinar, a link that you can use. And see a lot of use cases.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, in that page, we will be able to see also different use cases for different teams as well, and depending also on the tools that you are using. So I think it can give already way more inspiration on the endless possibilities that connecting plugins and sources can have. So I think that's great. Yeah, great.
Yeah. So if you have more questions, you want to help us basically set up everything, have questions about how you can do this, maybe about your strategy, don't hesitate. My meeting link is here. We will send it also afterwards. So definitely book a meeting, and we will guide you through all the new stuff in StoryChief Connect.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think you can, if you already have a StoryChief account, you can immediately log in, connect your plugins, and start chatting with the system to see all the results happening. If you have any questions about how to do this, then indeed you can plan or schedule a meeting with Brick so that he can help you out personally. If you don't have a StoryChief account yet, just open a free trial, and you can immediately start using the AI system as well, right?
Yes.
So
correct.
I think you can see the magic for yourself. And if you have any other tools or platforms that you would like us to connect, just let us know. We can look into connecting the tools for you as a plugin so that you can directly connect it with the click of a button and then see all the context in there.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining. We will send the recording soon. If you have any questions, you can also reach out through the chat.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a nice day.